Hello, everyone. My name is William Smith. I am the author of Oil Rich, A Brief History of Guyana and Why the U.S. and China Have Interests. So, my mom was born in Guyana, born in Berbice. So grateful to be a child of an immigrant living in the United States. And Guyana is about to face an election in a few months, which is very pivotal for the future. This is a crossroads for this country, especially with all the things that are going on. You know, we had the death of Adriana Young, which I think is very relevant to change for administration. We see what's going on with the corruption with the police officers. We see an influx of foreigners coming to Guyana's soil, building businesses, pillaging the resources. But then we also see that there are a number of citizens of Guyana who is not benefiting from the oil revenues. And so it's important that the people of Guyana go to the polls and do not be fearful when you make your decision on who you're going to vote for. The United States is putting in a lot of money for voter integrity. And I hear that there's talks about Team Muhammad and him and his logo. Don't be distracted by those things. I encourage Team Muhammad to put together all of your potential ministers, who they're going to be, so the voters know what you're going to lay out, because you have a chance of winning. And that's why I mentioned in my last video Amanza Desir. Team Muhammad, put out your ministers of education, workforce, so on. Lay it out. Who's going to be your leader of the police force? So everyone knows what you have out there, because you do have a chance of winning this thing. And that's why they're discrediting him. That's why they're coming after him in so many ways. In my book, I talk about when Chetty Jagan started the PPP, him and Forbes Burnham. And Chetty Jagan, they arrested him. They raided his compound. But the people of Guyana spoke that they wanted him to be the leader. And that's why they were able to overthrow the British. Because after that shooting at the plantation is when it all shifted. And that's why it's important to read your history, because these tactics aren't new. These were the same tactics that was thrown on Chetty Jagan. Sanctions from this country, sanctions from there. But the people of Guyana spoke, and they voted him in. And he was able to win. So read your history to know that this is the same playbook that was used on Chetty Jagan. So yes, Team Muhammad needs to lay out his strategy and lay out the people that he's going to have in his cabinet, because I really believe he has a chance. Because Guyana needs change right now. And yes, there is a culture of corruption. But one thing I do know about the Guyanese people is I know how spiritual the Guyanese people are. I know my grandmother, how spiritual she was and how poor we were, my family, with my grandfather being a sugarcane cutter and was able to bring his kids to America, and my grandma selling at the market every morning, waking up early, and my mom and all my uncles laying on that one structure where they had that one room for all of them. Over 10 kids, and family in one area. And I know about the stomach touching and not having food to eat and taking the bucket baths, where you have a bucket and you fill it up with water and you have a bowl and you scoop. So that's where my family came from. That's the experience for them for Guyana. No running water. So with all this, I'm grateful to even have the opportunity to speak about Guyana, but that's why I've studied it. And that's why I want to help usher in change, because I see what's taking place. And I understand that Guyana could become very rich. Guyana has less than 1 million people population, about 800,000, 900,000 people. You look at countries like Norway that discovered oil, they have way more people than Guyana, and they're able to ensure that each citizen benefits from the revenue. So it's possible to spread that wealth throughout each citizens when you create the infrastructure. So it's going to take a leader who's willing to go to these other countries that's doing it right and learn and get different ideas. And so I just want the citizens of Guyana to not be afraid to speak up for change. And I understand, I come to Guyana all the time. I see what's going on with this current administration. I see how entrenched it is. But you cannot be tied to a party just because you've been doing it for so many years. You have to look at what's going on with the people in the future, because this is not the same PPP that was against the British when Rich-Guyana and Forbes Burnham started it. Read your history. Learn about the shooting at the sugarcane plantation. Understand what that did and what that caused. Understand why Rich-Guyana was arrested. The same thing that's going on right now with Azadeh Mohammed, with the sanctions and things like that, because people are fearful of what would happen if he gets in office. All I'm asking for is for the people of Guyana to look around the village and look at the young people. Look at the young people. What's going to be left for them if it stays this course? What's going to be left for them? Prices are already going up. You see all the people coming in. And this is why it's important that there's policies to protect the real estate. Maybe there should be something in where foreigners can't own land, that maybe there's a 99-year lease. If you want to do business, you can lease it 99 years, but you cannot own land unless you're a Guyanese citizen or have Guyanese blood, where your mom or dad is Guyanese, and you could purchase that way. But we have to think about how are we going to preserve the Guyanese culture. Guyana, very strong people. People that believe in their faith. People that are hard workers. And I know this because one thing I saw growing up is how hard my family has worked in America to be able to wake up early and work late. Because that's Guyana. That's what we do in Guyana. Being able to survive without running water, washing clothes by hand. I mean, I do that now in America because that's what I learned growing up. Still watching my mom still cutting cans with a knife when I could easily get her a can opener. But you know what? That's Guyana. Hard work and grit. And so I just wanted to tell people this video. Like I said, I'll be posting more about this election because it's important to me. And more importantly, it's important to the future of Guyana. And I'm so grateful to say I am a child of an immigrant. And my mom is Guyanese. My name is William Smith. I'm the author of Oil Rich. Have a great one.